arms of silver. Silver is inferior to gold, and Medo-Persia was definitely less powerful than Babylon, and definitely less rich. So how did Babylon fall to something that was inferior? Well, King Belshazzar was ruling at the time, and there was a drunken feast in his throne room. And he served wine from sacred vessels from the Temple of Jerusalem after they sacked Jerusalem. And because of his sin and his idolatry, a bloodless hand, wrote mysteriously on the wall, and it wrote words of fire. And it said, God hath numbered thy kingdom and finished it. Now, the urging of the Queen Mother, at that time, Daniel was called to read the words, and nobody in Babylon could read them. But the words went like this: God has numbered thy kingdom and finished it, which is Mene, Tekel, thou art weighed in the balances and found wanting. Heres, thy kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and Persians. And the Bible named the Medes and Persians and described the Medo-Persia Empire. Cyrus was named approximately 150 years before his birth by, I believe, the prophet. Isaiah wrote, "Thus says the Lord to his anointed, to Cyrus, whose right hand I have held, to subdue nations before him, and loose the armor of kings, to open before him the double doors, so that the gates will not be shut." Does history tell how the Persians and the Medes overthrew the Babylonians? I mean, with a 20-year food supply, the Babylonians threw food over the wall. And they said to the Medes and Persians, "Don't worry, we'll outlast you." But what Cyrus did is he dammed up the Euphrates, which ran through the city, and he diverted the river into the desert. And then he marched his army underneath the wall, under the gates, and into the city on the dry riverbed. He came up behind Belshazzar's throne room, and Babylon fell without a battle in one single night. There's a cylinder that they've got in the British Museum in London, which describes Cyrus's attack and overthrow of Babylon. What's interesting is the Bible also has a record, the rocks. And, the Bible is accurate and does not guess. Medo-Persia ruled the world from 539 to 331 BC. After that, another kingdom would rise, which is described in the Bible as the thighs of brass. Then another, a third kingdom of bronze, which shall rule over all the earth. That's Daniel 2:39. And which nation is it that overthrew the Medes and the Persians? It was the Greek Empire, under Alexander the Great. At 33, at a young age, Alexander rose to prominence, and the Greeks came as mighty warriors, and they overthrew the Medo-Persians. Historians said that the reputation of Alexander the Great was one of great zeal, and that the Greek soldiers were mighty warriors. What's interesting also is that they used shields of bronze in their conquests. I'm persuaded that there was no nation. This is the Historical Library, Book 16, Chapter 12. I am persuaded that there was no nation, city, nor people where his name did not reach Alexander the Great. There seems to me to have been some divine hand presiding both over his birth and actions. Even secular historians recognize that the destiny of nations seemed to have a divine hand that was guiding. Would Greece rule supreme forever? No, the Greeks fell to the next nation, to the mighty armies of Rome. Greece ruled the world from 331 to 168 BC. Then, the Iron Monarchy of Rome, which demonstrated military supremacy. Rome was described as the fourth kingdom. The Bible says in Daniel 2:40, "Finally, there will be a fourth kingdom, strong as iron, for iron breaks and smashes everything." Indeed, the Roman Empire would extend throughout the entire then known world. Historians recognize this as the next after Greece, and Rome followed in the sequence just as it describes in this prophecy. And Rome ruled from 168 BC to the mid-4th century AD. The greatest historian, or one of the greatest historians of Rome, borrows imagery from the book of Daniel. And the images of gold, of silver, of brass, that might serve to represent the nations and their kings were successfully broken by the iron monarchy of Rome. But would there be a fifth nation to overthrow Rome?